Hey everybody, Sue Hitson, creator of the Melt Method. Happy Tuesday. I hope everybody's having a great day today. I was working with a client today who has sciatica, very, very common issue, and I thought, well, let me go ahead and show you guys how I showed her how to do this, because I know pigeon pose tends to be a very, very common technique for people to do, this concept of opening up your hips. But if you aren't performing techniques correctly, you might not make a lot of change, and in fact you might actually irritate the sciatic nerve. So I thought, let me go ahead and show you guys this idea. So first of all, to do anything where you're going to lengthen the tissue around the back of the pelvis, you want to think of what we call the 4-point square. It's from your hips to your ribs. You want to try to keep everything strategically like a box, okay? So as you do the techniques like a figure 4, oftentimes what will happen is somebody will cross their leg over and they'll be here, right? So their whole body will kind of get cockeyed. And you're actually rendering the technique kind of useless, because what you're doing is actually putting a lot of strain in the lumbar spine, and you might actually be compressing where the nerve root branches out of, okay? So I'm going to teach you guys a little technique here, and lots of ways to do this. So I'm going to kind of demonstrate a couple of things. Right now I have a wall right in front of me, actually my glass door. I hope I don't break it. So you see how my feet are up against a wall? This is always a great way to sort of figure out and negotiate the move. So what I do is I use the full melt roller. This is a soft roller, right? If you have super trouble doing this, or you're crazy tight, you might want to use a half roller. You don't have these products, don't worry. Don't worry. All you need to do is roll up a towel, so that a towel is about that thick, right? So it's about three inches, give or take, so that you have your hips slightly elevated. And this is going to do a couple of things. One, it's going to decrease any pressure on your lumbar spine that could actually, again, kind of reverse the tendency for these kind of issues, okay? So you're going to put your hips up onto the roller. And again, what I'm looking at is this 4-point square, okay? So at first, before you do any of the stretching, a really good thing to learn, let's say I have sciatica on my right hip. If I bring my leg up and my whole body goes like this, I got a problem. And it's actually, might not be on the side where I have sciatica. It's actually the opposite side has gotten a lot of restrictions to it, right? Because then I come over to this side, and if almost like this leg doesn't want to come out at all, right? Whereas on the other side, maybe you bring it up and it like really swings. You want to first evaluate that for yourself. Like, where am I seeing restrictions or tightness, right? Because oftentimes, again, you have tightness away from the area where you tend to have the pain point. So if you're focusing myopically on where you have pain, you just kind of walk yourself into more dysfunction, because you're actually focusing on the symptom, not the cause. Okay, so that makes sense, right, for everybody? Okay, so first of all, if I'm going to practice this, I'm going to cross my ankle over, and what I invite people to do is to bring their foot onto a wall. And what this is going to offer is a little bit of time for the opposite hip flexor, the psoas and the quadriceps, to not get involved until you're really ready for the move, okay? So a couple of things. When you are in a figure 4, you want to keep your ankle flexed, because when our ankle is soft and our leg comes into this position, the tibia has a tendency to rotate, and then that can cause torsion at the knee. So we don't want to like cause a problem to fix a problem, right? So we just want to get specific. So the ankle stays flexed, and if I'm in this position, I'm going to do a traditional figure 4 concept. Is I'm just going to bring my knees into my chest. Okay. And what I feel is a nice stretch on my booty. I feel a stretch right here. That's awesome. You know, you could sit here and even just gently rock your body a little left to right. All fine things. But the thing I would be looking at, I'm just going to drop my legs back down, is did you keep the 4-point square? Or when you bring your legs up, do you kind of get into one of these sort of poses where you're all rotated, right? So we got to keep the hips square atop the roller. So again, if you put your foot up against the wall to prepare for the lengthening technique that we're going to do, you're going to get more out of this, because we don't just want to stretch the back of the hip. What we want to do is cause hydration and some mobilization and new stabilization in the hip joint itself, in the acetabulum, okay? So again, I'm going to flex my ankle. I'm going to check my 4-point square. I know you don't see it because my leg's in the way. I don't know. I couldn't figure out a better way to do this. Maybe I'll flip around in a minute. Okay, so once I'm here, what I'm looking for is 2 separate things. I'm going to first work with the leg. So I'm going to grab onto my thigh, and I'm going to kind of literally feel like I'm pulling my thigh up and out of the socket. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to twist my tissue. I'm going to go ahead and give myself a little massage, if you will. I'm going to work all the way down into my hip. I'm going to set my leg down. I might even want to take my hands into my thigh in that position and push my femur out of the socket. Does that make sense? I'm pushing it away from me. Okay. So once I'm in this type of a pose and I've started down at my hip, I'm going to slowly crawl my hands up my leg, and I'm not going to just think about pushing my leg away from me. I want to think about pushing the thigh up and away out of the socket, right? So I'm kind of literally tractioning my own thigh up and out of the socket, okay? So there's step number one. So now I'm going to hold this position. I'm going to recheck my 4-point square. I got everything nice and straight. Second thing you have to do is, instead of tucking your pelvis, and again, I'll give you some different viewpoints on this one so that you really figure this out, that once I push my thigh up and out of the socket, what do I want to do with my pelvis? I want to tilt my pelvis. I want to get my lumbar curve back. Instead of flattening my low back, I want to actually maintain the slight curve in my back, pushing the thigh up and away and holding that pose. Now, once I've got these 2 points, the third is to then drop the leg and use my left thigh to press into my right ankle. And it's backwards for you guys, right? This is my right leg, according to you guys, is my left leg, just FYI. Okay, so I'm using this thigh to pull my ankle in as I push my thigh up and away, and then I'm going to tilt. So it's specific. I'm not just going to go into a pigeon pose. I'm actually going to hold positions like this, and then I'm going to inhale. I'm going to ease back some of the tension, and then I'm going to do it again. I'm going to push my thigh up and out of the socket. I'm going to tilt my pelvis atop the roller, and then I'm going to use my posting leg to press the ankle in. All 3 things at the same time. Okay, so now I'm going to do that on the other leg, only I'm going to do it sideways so that you can see what the heck I'm doing with my pelvis. Hopefully you'll see this one. Okay, so same thing. I'm going to cross might be my right leg too, but my left leg. I'm going to bring my legs into my chest. And again, what I'm doing is I'm pushing my thigh up and out of the socket, and then I'm tilting. I'm drawing my pelvis into the roller so that I have a curve in my back. I'm tilting it atop the roller. I don't know how else to make this look any more functional. Maybe if I come this way for you guys. Always trying to get crafty on this Instagram thing. Okay, so again, here's this idea, right? So I've got the roller under my pelvis, right? 4-point square. I cross my ankle over my thigh. My ankle is flexed. I don't let this happen, right? I don't want to get short on one side. I want to keep my pelvis neutral. I bring my legs into my chest. My ankle is flexed. I bring my legs all the way into my chest. I get a nice stretch in my butt. I like this. I might hang out here and just breathe. Become one with the universe, zen out, think of all happy things, keeping my ankle flexed, just chilling out here. Again, I might even rock my legs a little left to right. Who knows? Whatever. You could think about whatever, but now you want to get to work. Ankle stays flexed. You could either grab onto your foot or even sometimes behind the back of the thigh is helpful for people. Again, what I'm going to do is push my thigh up and out of my socket, and look how my posting leg gets perpendicular. Look at how my hips are still perfectly square. There's none of this, right? Everything's square. I'm pushing my thigh up and out of the socket. Again, I could sit here and hang out. I could twist, right? Open up that hip a little bit, pushing my thigh away. Again, my foot could be on a wall, to which I don't have on this side of my house. And then same thing. I can push my thigh up and out of the socket. And then once I'm here, I tilt. So a tilting, right? Tucking, I sometimes call a sad dog pose, like you're trying to curl your pubic bone in between your chest, so you're tucking your pelvis in. That's a flat back. I don't want that. I want to think about my pubic bone sliding between my legs, almost towards my opposite ankle. I'm pushing my thigh up and out of the socket. I'm just going to hold here, and I'm going to tilt. I'm going to take a breath in. Ease back some of my intention to compress. And then again, I'm pushing the thigh up. I'm going up and out of the socket. And then I'm tilting. And I'm pressing my thigh into my ankle. All at the same time. 3 points of compression. And there's my pose. Now, all of these things all seem fine, except what tends to be the problem for people, and we're going to come on down here now, what tends to be a bit of a problem for people is understanding what on earth a tilt is. So let's go ahead and learn how to tilt properly, because this could make or break everything that you're doing, okay? So I'm going to do it in a quadruped pose first, okay? So this is a tuck. I don't want you to do this. What I want you to do is keep your ribs where they are and tilt. Okay, not a tilt, and I'm going to show that on the roller in a second. I'm not inviting you guys to put your back into an arch. I'm actually inviting you to keep your ribs quiet and out of all of this. And for my clients who have scoliosis, this is actually something that's missing. Okay, don't need to see my face. Just take a look at my hips here. I bring my roller atop my pelvis atop the roller. Okay, my legs coming across. I bring my legs up, I'm in the same pose. Again, I'm pushing my thigh up and out of the socket. My ribs up here are going to stay in the same spot, but then I'm going to tilt my pelvis, right? So I'm not tucking, I'm tilting, okay? Pushing the thigh up and out of the socket. And then I'm going to let that go, okay? Now, for those of you guys who love the yoga world, you all know what I'm talking about, pigeon pose, right? So what is a pigeon pose? Is where you take your leg out like this, and you come like this, and they'll tell you to sit and hang out here. Only it's the same thing. If my hips kind of come out, or I'm so tight, or maybe I have knee issues, or I just have really tight quadriceps, my front thigh, right? I can't really achieve the outcome of the technique without actually causing more problems for my low back. And remember, the nerve roots branch out of your low back. They don't just spontaneously appear at the pelvis. They are in our lumbar spine, branch into the hip, and then our deep external hip rotators, where those things are just smashed in between. If those things get locked short, you become a butt gripper. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Butt grippers, people who have their body stuck in a tuck and it looks like they got $1 between their butt crack. They're kind of always squeezing. Their shorts are always in their buttocks. That kind of stuff we don't like. But if we were to do the same type of a principle, like, again, something like a roller or towels, right? If I did the exact same pose, only I put my leg here, now suddenly what I have is all this space between me and the floor to just sit here and flex my ankle and hold. And then if I do that same concept, I think of my knee pointing down to the floor as my tail is moving back, you're going to get a nice opening to the back of the hip in a very unique way compared to what you're normally doing in a traditional pigeon pose. I'm going to do this to face you this way, same thing. So I guess it's doing that same thing, right? So I'm going to take my leg down, and I'm going to be here instead. Do you see? So my hip is up instead of dropping to the ground, and then this just allows me more of an opportunity to then keep my pelvis in the same spot. Look at how I'm not flattening my low back and coming toward my thigh, right? And you'll have more place to go as you open it up. And I would not hold these static poses. I would move through it. I would exhale. I would stay here. I'd exhale again. And I'd bring myself back up. Okay? So if you're dealing with sciatica, or you got pins and needles down your back, and I know my friend is watching this and knows exactly what I'm talking about here today, that these are some of the strategies that if you start adding it into your daily self-care practice, you'll find you can actually mitigate a lot of the problems that you have, especially if sciatica is a problem for you, right? So sciatica does not get better just by taking Advil or not thinking about it. And if you're driving in a car often or you're sitting a lot, these are things that will significantly contribute to the weakening of the stabilization mechanisms of your pelvis and get you very locked short where it just compresses the nerve. And once you irritate that nerve, it's just a nightmare. It goes on and on and on and on forever. And ultimately, you'll start talking about you have pain in your back, you got radiating, shooting things going down the back of your legs, all sorts of stuff that we can definitely change if we have better strategies. So watch this back, share it with a friend who is complaining about back or hip pain, and start thinking again about that 4-point square, right? It is like a 4-point square on your pelvis so that your ribs to your pelvis are all staying on the same plane. You cannot side bend as you do any of these lengthening techniques, otherwise you just kind of render it useless and you're gonna cause more problems where you don't want it. And then once you have that, then of course we have all these strengthening techniques. If you guys are new to Melt, you can always go to Melt on Demand to learn more about these things, all sorts of stuff. Hi, Laura Boozer. Good to see your face in here. I don't see any questions. You guys have any questions for me about sciatica? Anything that you want to tell me? Anything I can help you with today? I don't see anybody asking me any questions. Shocking. Where is my kitty? I don't know, but I posted something on my personal page because Newt made a massive appearance, and Baron is actually sitting right over there. I can see him. He's just watching me. Hi, Baron. Anyway, so I hope that helps you guys with some strategies. Coming up next month on Melt on Demand, we have a new platform, and I'm going to be teaching live classes, not just me, but some of our Melt instructors, so I hope you'll check us out there. And I think tomorrow I'm doing something on YouTube. Can't remember what, because I've done 700 things today related to business, and I'm just trying to stay focused. So, yeah, helping you. Pilates and Beyond, she says, when I do that, the front of my hip is hurting. So if you're talking about the crease of the front of your hip. So it depends upon which move you were talking about. I did the second one is too much for you, because here's the thing that my Pilates and Beyond is saying. Okay, so your femurs, these where the hip joint is, the hip joints are like angled like this. This is your greater trochanter. This is the head of your femur. Head of your femur doesn't go into your hip sockets like this. It goes into your hip sockets like this. It's a little internally rotated. That's the angle of it. So the problem with a lot of people who have instability in their hip is that the femur goes up and forward into the acetabulum. It goes up and forward, so that when you try to bring your leg in, it's got nowhere to go. It's not rolling back into the hip. So you are the one that, what I'm telling you is, if you do what I started with, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do it again just for the heck of it, because we're here and we might as well get educated today and give you guys some strategies to work on all week, and then you can ask me more questions later. Happy to help you with these things. Okay, so I'm going to use the half roller this time, whatever. Okay, so I'm going to come on down. So remember, you're going to put your hips on something. I don't care if it's my roller. Don't put it on a hard roller, though, okay? Like, I'd rather you be on a towel, okay? So again, you put your foot up against a wall, and you cross the other ankle over. And remember what I said. I'm going to put my foot down for a second so you can really see this. So you've got to learn to start pulling the thigh up and out of the socket, right? So I'm going up. Right, so I'm twisting it, and I'm really trying to create the grab and the twist. And at the front of the hip, I'm going to push that femur down. I'm going to try to traction it. I might even want to keep my hand here once I kind of get that. I'm going to recheck my 4-point square. Did you see what happened? Right, so I'm pushing my thigh. I'm going to reset my hips. I'm going to bring that leg on up, flexing my ankle. I'm going to push this posting leg into my ankle, and then I'm going to use that other thigh and push it up and away for a second. But again, I'm pushing my hip joint out. And then I want to go for it. I want to tilt my pelvis. Again, I'm sinking the back of my pelvis atop the roller. That's going to increase my lumbar spine curve a little. Again, it's not an invitation to put your chest up like this, so the curve doesn't come from your thoracic spine. It comes from the lumbar spine. Do you see how I can move my lumbar spine? My ribs are not moving. Okay, super critical on these kind of things if you're really going to do them. So flex and tilt. If you really want to learn this, if you go to meltmethod.com and you click on the refine category, you're going to see some tutorials on this move. And again, it is really important. Guess what? Oh, look who's come. Hello, everybody. My little new celebrity. This is Newt. Newt, will you do a figure 4 for us? Why not? Anyway. Sure, she's perfectly entertained with that. But again, if you go to meltmethod.com, click on the refine category and look at figure 4 with the number 4, figure 4, and practice that one again, because that femur's got to roll back into the socket. When we bring our knee into the chest, it's got to roll back into the socket. So if it's already up and into the top of the head of that femoral head, if it's pushing up into the acetabulum, it's got nowhere to go, right? And so what you'll do every single time, I bet if I watched you do it, your pelvis is going to, every time on that side, go meow. It's just going to roll and go forward every time that you bring that leg up. So pay attention to that. Maybe video record yourself. Always fun to watch yourself do things not quite right, even though Sue has explained how to do it explicitly. Practice and see if that helps you. Leave a message for us if you have any questions. Sip water frequently, eat water-filled foods. Do me a favor today. Call somebody that you love and tell them that you love them and why. Put some positive vibes out into the universe, because it just elevates the frequency for everybody. I'd super appreciate that. Thanks again for tuning in. I hope everybody's doing great today. Happy melting.